Podcast. My name is Scott Harrigan, and today on the show, the big show, we have none other than Chanel Biggin. Chanel, how you doing today?
You pronounced my name correct. Thanks.
Did I really? Do you know how hard I fought to say Chantel Biggins?
That's okay. You could have, and I wouldn't have said anything.
No, you have to, because that's just the way it goes. That's the rule. Name first. I don't have a journalism degree or anything like that, but one thing I do know is get the name right. That's all. I struggle with names. Really, I struggle with my own name. So.
A lot of people struggle with names.
Oh, God, it's unbelievable.
Remembering names, names to faces. I struggle with it.
I remember I had to take a course one time because I was very forgetful. And this course was to do with memorizing names, and you put something to that name, like a rhyme or something. And I was late for the course because I forgot the address. So, good start.
It sounds like it would be a useful course.
Very useful, but I failed. Chanel, you are going to talk about some figure skating today.
We are.
And I know very little about figure skating. However, I do find that figure skating, for me personally, just to start off, is I think it's one of the most underrated sports that hockey mums and dads don't know about, simply because when I was younger growing up, I took figure skating, and it was secret back then. It was, you know, the stigma around it and that whole kind of thing. But I'm telling you, what it did for me, for my angles, edges, the strength, I don't think people realize. And I certainly know that parents of hockey parents who have kids in the sport and of hockey, and that's where they're driven, honestly underestimate the value of figure skating. Could you comment on that?
It is certainly for a select few. I know more people than not that actually started and stopped because it's a challenging sport, both mentally and physically. I remember when I started, I was 6 years old, and 6 years old is actually really late to start figure skating if you really want to go anywhere with it in the sport, for example. And not only is it a little bit underrated, but I don't think people actually realize the amount of talent and effort it takes to get
I want to talk about the
level
yeah.
of figure skating. Whereas, to be honest with you, in the NHL, how many NHL players are there?
Well, that's kind of like the
hundreds.
Well, not at 15, but they're certainly, you know, they're not in the NHL at 15. However, the talent level, I see where you're going with this, and I want to explore this because it's these 15-year-olds are in the Olympics competing against the best in the world. And
that's the difference.
There's not 15-year-olds on Team Canada playing hockey for Team Canada, men's national team. There's just not. So another aspect is what I think is like have people raving or talking about, maybe not raving, but talking about certainly is shows like Battle of the Blades, where you're taking NHLers who are making $10 million a year at their craft, and they're struggling to figure skate. And I know for a fact, what's her name, Jamie?
Jamie Salé.
Salé. She's not making out $10 million a year, right?
No, figure skaters. They don't make any money. They make money from sponsorships, but
sure.
Absolutely, they do not make anything close to what an NHL player would make. And that sport is, I'm going to be honest with you, is 10 times harder.
But that's what I mean. Like the actual effort and to skate, which is primarily what a hockey player does, he struggles with the fact that he is on the show Battle of the Blade. So it's a great insight to, you know, how difficult it is.
It is difficult, and right. I agree with everything you're saying, Scott.
Yeah.
To that,
most people do, you know. Most people do.
Well, I might not moving forward. Let's wait and see. Moving forward, maybe not. But yeah, if you put it on the other foot, so to speak, if you put a figure skater in a pair of hockey skates, pick it up, no problem. I can tell
that's
you that.
what I did.
I can tell you that for a fact.
Well, that's what I was.
But if you put a hockey player in figure skates,
yeah, no,
you're just gonna watch
exactly.
them fall.
Yeah. What? What's your favorite figure skating movie?
My favorite figure skating. There's some
good ones.
There's some
I don't think people realize that there are some really good figure skating movies out there.
There are some good ones, but there's also some really cheesy ones. And here's the reason why I say cheesy, okay? If you were in the sport and if you were competitive in the sport and you watch these movies, probably just like any hockey movie, it's cringy. There's a lot of cringy skating movies out there, but Blades of Glory did an amazing job of actually playing to the humor of how cheesy you can make a figure skating movie. They 100%. Did a good job. Of course, 100%. It's not realistic in any way.
No, but it's a comedy.
Hilarious.
Will Ferrell's not known for his drama movies, right? What is he like? But brilliant. But the one I like, and I don't know the name of it, but I just know the line. Toe pick. Do you know that movie?
Oh, I remember that movie, and I watched it when I was younger.
Of course.
I remember watching it when we were at a competition, actually, with a bunch of other of my friends, and we were all watching it in the hotel room. And I cannot for the life of me remember.
But you know the line.
It's called, yes.
But the line is it's one of those like nostalgic. Once you hear toe pick, right,
it's and that line,
it was that
the
line.
Hockey player who was learning how to figure skate with the female.
She had lost her partner or something like that, and he had to go in, or he was being penalized. I can't remember either, and I don't know the name of it. But our background editor should probably be Googling that. He should have been on that right away, but apparently not.
Not on that.
No,
that's
lost
okay.
in space on that one. Just so you know, it's Chanel's brother, Tanner, who is the editor for Raw Podcast, is also in the studio today. I want to go more in depth because I look at things in hockey and I go, okay, you have the Tykes, the Timbits, you have, the Peewees, the whole thing. And then there's a level, right? And you, in each year or each couple of years, you go through different stages. Can you walk me through? You started at 6. Is that mites or tykes or what? And can you walk me through the different levels?
Yeah, absolutely. So within Skate Canada, they do have required programs that every skater does need to go through in order to achieve certain levels. So if not, most clubs will all have what's called a Can Skate program.
Right.
And that's the first program that you enter into if you want to learn figure skating. And I started that at 6 years old. Nowadays, you're getting, 3, 4-year-olds, sometimes even 2-year-olds.
Pushing the chair around.
Really tiny little guys. Yeah. And so that's the first level is Can Skate. And within Can Skate, there are certain levels within that grouping. Once you've passed all of those levels in that grouping, then you move on. Now, it has changed, Scott, since I last skated, which was like 9 years ago, competitively speaking. And when I skated, we had something called competitive and Starstream, and that was in place for a really long time. Now, those are two different streams. The Starstream is basically if you're doing it recreationally. You're doing this for fun. I'm not in it to win it. I'm just here to have fun. The competitive stream was for those skaters who wanted to go to the Olympics. They wanted to compete nationally, provincially, eventually make it on the big show. Just like it was equivalent to the NHL, I guess.
But what makes it different? Like different coaching?
That's a great question, Scott.
I'm full of them.
What makes them different? No, the coaches can absolutely coach both Star Skate and competitive. That's not the difference. The difference is within the actual skater. So it's within the skater to decide I want to do this versus I don't, which does bring up some controversy.
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't you just want the go for the full Monty? Why wouldn't you? Why go to the tri skate when you like if you're going to do it anyways? Why not just go for this one and see? That's the confusion. Like figure skating to me is one of those sports where it's very unique in how you get to elite status level because of the how young these athletes are. Like Kirk, what was his name? Kirk Cameron? No, not Kirk Cameron, but
Kurt Browning.
He was young.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Chan was a teenager.
Well, they're getting younger and younger, Scott.
I know, but are they? Or have they always been young?
No, they're getting younger and younger, and the talent pool is getting younger and younger. For sure, 100%. I can say that without a doubt.
For like the highest level of competition.
Yes, for competitive.
Right.
Absolutely. You're seeing like these 15-year-olds at the Olympic Games.
Right. Why do you think they're there?
9 years ago.
How do you think they got there?
I would like to tell you that I think they got there through pure talent and
they must have
years
talent.
of hard work. You got to have talent for that.
You have to.
I'm going to be honest, though, at 15 years old, that's quite the talent if we're speaking in terms of what we did see at the Olympic Games. At 15 years old, to be performing like that is something else. Absolutely.
Unreal.
It is unreal. It's untouchable. There's a level there that you can't compete against. And is it the coaching? Is it the skater?
Is it? Because to me, the coaching in all sports has evolved to where it's, before it was do what I tell you to do. That was coaching.
The skater took that. All athletes.
All
took
athletes.
That.
That's
that.
you know,
Yeah,
and then it evolved into do that and let me show you how to do that. And now it's that's not good enough now, or it's grown to, well, why do I have to do it that way? Not to be calling out the coach. The athletes actually want to know today why.
Because you can always be better.
There
is always a bar, and it can always be reached, or it can be crossed. There's always that.
Well, that's my
bar.
point.
And if you know you can get someone over that bar, why not?
Well, because they're 15, 13. Like, she just didn't wake up on her 14th birthday and become a competitive skater. She must have, like, we're talking, just for reference, we're talking about the 15-year-old Russian skater, correct? Or I am.
Yes, we are talking about Camila. I can't remember her last name. Vivalia. Yeah.
But she just didn't wake up one day and all of a sudden, poof, she's an Olympian.
No, none of those Russian skaters.
But that's what I'm saying. So is the coaching affecting the athletes? Because here's the thing, and this is what I'm trying to draw you into, is that all sports have evolved through coaching, training, nutrition, and we're going to talk about nutrition because you're big into that, and it's a difference. And the thing that I'm curious about in figure skating is to, you know, the kids today, when I was playing hockey, as opposed to your brother or anybody else at a younger age, we weren't doing the things that Zegras from Anaheim is doing. Like those weren't even thought of or heard of. And you know, it's the kids are better today in every sport than they were in 30 years ago. Why? How is that possible?
I think because there's that bar that's always there. There's always the hey, I can make your kid better.
How?
Money.
Thank you. More time on the ice.
I cannot tell you how.
More, yeah.
Oh my goodness!
That's okay, but
it is an expensive sport, and here's the sad part about it: you might not get there. Actually, in most cases, a lot of kids do not get there
in any sport, not just figure skating.
No, of course not. No,
right? But I think one of the stigma in all of sports today is if I throw enough money at Billy, if I throw enough money at Sally, they're going to compete. So, but it's up the athleticism. Like, I want to talk about this Russian skater because I really am invested in this kid. I don't agree with what happened, and I feel for her. I actually feel for this little child because 15 is a child.
Yeah.
It's, how talented do you think she could be without the drugs and the scandal? At 15, you shouldn't be going through scandals. But how talented do you think this young girl is?
Scott, I genuinely do believe that the entire Russian figure skating team is talented.
They're always.
Absolutely.
Always.
I do believe that. Naturally, I believe they
Me
are
too.
talented.
Yeah.
However, from what we witnessed, what the world witnessed, now that is coming into question. And it's really unfortunate because the sport of figure skating takes so much talent and time and dedication and money. People do not realize it is your life.
Oh, absolutely. Like gymnastics, I would imagine. Stuff like
same thing.
It must be, right? It's in the same realm. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. But when you were 6, if you remember, that it wasn't that far back. You're only 29. But
thanks, Scott.
well, it's raw. What do you want? If you can remember at 6 years old how you were and your talent at 6, and now all the way through to your coaching 6-year-olds, can you draw me a difference of where they are now, starting out, without being coached, not a day in their lives, as to where you were? Are they further ahead, the same spot? Are they just like, can you draw, is there a difference?
Absolutely. I would fully agree that there is a difference in the skaters that I have coached, at least at 6 years old. There's some very talented 6 years old or 6 years old. Absolutely. However, when I started figure skating at 6 years old, again, that was considered late. And it would still be considered late, to be perfectly honest, to start if you wanted to go anywhere with the sport. I don't really remember. I remember joining it because I'm like, hey, I want to have fun. This looks like fun. My best friend's doing it. Like, I want to do it too. But I didn't peak until maybe 10, 11, 12. That was my peak. And some skaters are peaking earlier, which is example.
What do you mean by peak, though? Like peak to me is like, I can't get any better. This is as good as I'm going to get. Mm-hmm. Is that what you mean by peak? Or peak is when you realized in yourself, oh my God, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay.
Scott. Peaking is when you take it and you run. Okay, I have something here. I'm going to run with it, or it's not for me. Now, skaters are peaking earlier and earlier. There's a bigger talent pool. They're progressing faster and faster at a younger and younger age. Hence why we have 15-year-olds, which, like I said, I didn't even get to a point in my skating career where I thought I could go competitive until about 12, 13, 14 years old.
Right. Competitive. See, what should there be age groups? Like you know, in soccer, you got U13, U15. Like, should there be some kind of a like U16 Olympics, like categories in figure skating, like U16?
Well, I think this most recent incident does bring up that question, Scott. Absolutely. Should there be an age cap? Should there be a limit on that? However, I know in the sport of figure skating, competing wise, that also did just change. I believe when I skated, there were age categories in certain groups. So for example, in the competitive stream, yes, they did have age categories, but that wasn't for every category.
No.
So to be perfectly honest for you, I got beat by a couple 13-year-olds at one point in my life when I was, 15, 16, 17.
Yeah.
It was just because we were the same level, and it had nothing to do with the age.
So how do you get to... Okay, you're in Victoria. You're skating for whatever club. Juanafuca. Let's just say Juanafuca skate. Does Juanafuca have a skate club?
They sure do.
Is that where you coach?
That is where I coach.
Oh, look at that. I'm on fire today. How do they get recognized? How do these, do you put them in tournaments, or do they go to shows, or how does all this work?
The section. So every province will have a section. So it's called the section. Our section is BCYT. And they will hold competitions yearly.
Sanctioned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
under Skate Canada?
Under Skate Canada.
Okay.
They will hold competitions yearly. How many? It really depends. Like these last 2 years have been all over the place. So I know right now they're kind of just ramping up the competitions. They're getting at least 3 or 4 done before the end of summer at the moment.
Do you have to write reports saying, I think Sally is good enough to go to this? Or who gets to pick?
It's the skater's decision. Ultimately, however, it should be the coach's responsibility.
Well, yeah.
You're not going to put your student into a competition if you don't think they're ready. That's not fair to them. That's not fair to you.
Because the parent would want that for sure.
Of course the parent would want that. And that's that's a whole other ball game, Scott, where, you have a coach to parent relationship and that parent knows everything that's going on with that child. You are their sole caregiver, basically, as a coach, if you're a competitive skater. Because you are with your coach all day, every day.
Well, I want to touch on that, Chanel, because I have more questions than answers when it comes to, are you spending more time with one kid, the special kid? Is there like the apple of the eye in that club? Is there one standout where it's just like, watch her, man, she's going places. I have to spend 3 more extra hours with this child. Like, who pays for that? Is there something like that out there where you have somebody that with your eye on that needs more Chanel?
There's definitely a line.
Okay. Fast 5, and that's okay.
You don't want to cross that line.
What? Oh, that's not the line. I meant line as in who's in first, the top of the line. No.
The line
what do you mean cross the line?
So when it comes to favorites, no. However, there's a lot of politics in figure skating.
A lot of politics in all sports.
Of course, yeah. And it's a nasty, nasty world of politics.
Well, let's just focus on the positive.
For the parent to coach and coach to parent, that's the line that I'm speaking on right now. And that comes from the request of parents sometimes. Ooh. The parents may request, I would like my skater to have more lessons, please.
And that's doable, or is this like, okay, so when you train or you coach for an association?
A club, yes.
A club, I mean. Yes. Okay, tomato. Are you hired by them, or are you an independent?
So the way that coaching works, the club can hire you on, and the club will offer coaching contracts to all of their coaches. They're supplementary coaches, part-time coaches, full-time coaches, substitute coaches. There's even coaches at specific clubs for dryland classes. And they
all bring something new to the table, like that you don't have, or you have all of those. Well, I don't know. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, is there a jump coach? Is there a skating backwards coach?
When I was a competitive skater, I had a team of coaches.
Okay.
I had a technical coach. I had an artistic coach, is what it used to
choreography?
be. Yeah, choreographer.
Right,
I also did ice dancing, too. So not only did I do singles, but I did ice dancing. So I had my partner as well.
Man, there's a lot of moving parts in figure skating.
We had different coaches for that specific discipline in figure skating as well.
See, this is all stuff I didn't know. Okay.
So I had probably... over my skating career, I would say I've skated with close to 10 different coaches.
A year? Or over the course of it?
At one time.
So when mom says, hey, Chanel, I'd really like you to spend more time with Sally, what she's really saying is, I want 8 more coaches to help, or no?
No. If they request it from you specifically, it's going to come from you. However... great point, Scott, because now you can bring in the offer of, I think Sally would really benefit from so-and-so's technical teaching, and they can recommend a coach. Again, it comes down to, it's the parent's decision, ultimately, right?
Really?
They make that decision for their skater, and then once the skater is old enough, I believe, I don't know this for sure, but I had a lot of say in my figure skating career of who I wanted as my coach. My parents were really helpful in guiding me. And actually doing a lot of research. Hey, Chanel, like, we heard about this coach. Like, why don't we go see her? The skater and parent can choose to do that. It gets tricky when the coach or a coach, for example, seeks out another skater from another club. That's
poaching.
Poaching. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sandbagging and poaching.
And then there's, that's a whole other... nasty.
Sports has got some dirty underbellies. But just from me covering sports for the last 13 years, I know that parents sometimes don't know the intricacies of all these different. They are just it's Billy, you're going here, whatever. That's a lot of responsibility for a coach to have the parent calling all the shots, because you may think, we're not there yet. you're a year away from that. And
happens.
it's like, I'll get a new coach then.
Scott,
so
that
what
happens
happens
all the time.
is that you don't trust the process. Well, I'm going to go to Vancouver then. Does that happen?
Oh, absolutely. It happened when I was skating. I'm sure it still happens now. To be honest with you, I've been out of the sport for a while. I just started coaching again and got my regional coaching certification. So I'm super excited about that.
Good for you.
The world of figure skating, however, since I competed, has changed drastically. And
In what
so
way?
I'm relearning. Oh, it's changed in the way they've categorized certain levels.
So there is levels.
There's a lot. So there's levels, like I was explaining when I was a skater, star skate and competitive. Those are two different streams. Now we have something called star 1 to 5. You still have your competitive streams. It's all tested differently. So not only do you have to compete, you have to test to be able to compete. Basically what I'm saying
You
is
should have to.
you have to pass a test to be able to compete in a certain level. Once you get to compete in that certain level, you compete a amount of times before you feel like you're ready to move on to the next level.
Now, is that done in the club, or is that done, but is that being judged by the coaches at the club, or is that done by going to tournaments or special shows or...
So now it is evaluated by the student's coach. The coaches will now evaluate their skaters and basically decide if they are ready to move on or not.
So like a
when I
belt,
skated-
like a black belt, there's
Yeah.
like all the belts.
Yeah.
Fair dues.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
So when
Now,
I
is that
skated, it
equal
was-
across the board as far as the curriculum? Like, if you're in Saskatchewan, your grading is going to be the same as if it is in Newfoundland, or it doesn't change? Or you know how you go to a karate thing or whatever and you get a belt just because you've been there 3 months, right? But is it the same criteria and graded the same way?
It is the same criteria, Scott. It is all graded the same way, and it is sanctioned by Skate Canada. However, because now it is under the coach's discretion if their skater will meet the criteria to pass or not, you may end up getting some skaters that aren't actually ready for that level.
I'm sure it is.
Because
Then.
the coach is, they're wishy-washy.
Yeah.
And they're not honest.
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
not
yeah.
honest with their skater.
So it's not
they're
the
not
same then.
honest with their with the parents of the skater,
Right.
right? And that does happen. I know in my previous experience, my coaches were always very honest with myself. They were very honest with my parents as far as like, yep, you're ready. Yeah, you're not ready.
Did you ever feel like you didn't want to do it?
A lot.
Okay, here's
Unfortunately.
No, it's not unfortunate, because I want to talk about this because, again, doing this for as long as I've been doing it, not the podcast, but covering sports, this is the thing that I've learned. And I've talked about this on many a podcast. And I know for a fact, an absolute fact, and pick a sport, don't care. There are kids participating in that sport that don't want to be there. They do not want to be there for whatever the reason. They don't want to let their mom down, don't want to let their dad down, don't want to do this, don't want to do that. For what pick a reason. It doesn't matter. The kid doesn't want to be there. So this is my solution. It's probably too simple, but this is my solution. Let me know what you think. Piece of paper. And all it says on it is the kid's name, Sally Miller. Do you want to be here? Yes? No. Doesn't go to the parent. Goes to the coach who's doing the evaluating. And you hand that out to each student, each kid that's paying or whatever. I guarantee you there'll be a no one of these days. And one is too many. Then that piece of paper, then you talk to the parent and say, Sally doesn't want to be here. Now, I know for a fact that anywhere across this, I want to institute this, maybe just start it in BC, right? No recognition, no nothing. Just here, do this. Do you think like you're just starting coaching, but you've admitted yourself, self-admitted that there are times you wanted to quit? Are you glad you didn't? Are you glad there wasn't a piece of paper like that? Or where do you think if you would have said no, where do you think you would have been? Or do you think you would have been happy, like just chucking it back then? Like, or just driving through it? Like, is that a good idea, that to have a piece of paper, or no?
I think it's a good question to ask, Scott. And I think it's something that isn't asked often enough. If I'm speaking for myself,
Yes.
when I say that, were there times that I wish I wasn't skating or didn't have to go skating? Yes, there were. However, I am so glad I never said no.
Okay.
Because I genuinely loved it. Now, that actually comes down to another whole side of the sport, is the psychological part. Because the only reason I was saying no, I didn't want to continue, was probably because I was just having a really bad day on the ice. I just sucked. I couldn't land anything.
Oh, well, that now, okay, yeah.
And
that's,
I was like,
yeah.
I want to quit. I hate this sport. I can't do it.
No, I
that
mean,
was like me being like, I don't want to do this.
I get that, Chanel. It's not when I want, I'm not handing a piece of paper every day. I'm saying at the start of this session, do you want to be, everybody has bad days and would like to try. I'd like to quit my job 3 days a week, right? But you don't. But do you think at the start of the year, have you ever felt that, I don't want to do it this year? Mom, Dad, I don't want to do it this year. Because it's a passion thing, right?
Oh, totally. So for me, the passion was always there. I can't say that honestly, with that said, that I ever had the feeling of I wanted to just quit and not do this for the rest of the year. In fact, if anything, I wanted to do it more.
Yeah.
And I had 2 weeks off a year. So that's the other thing with figure skating, is you can skate all year round. There's no season. You skate all year round. And I had 2 weeks off every year. And that was at the end of August.
Right.
And I remember one year, me and my family went to Hawaii on vacation for those 2 weeks. And I remember my coach giving me homework.
Yeah.
I had to practice all my jumps. And I remember practicing my jumps on the beach in Hawaii in the sand.
What a great place to do it.
But I loved it.
Yeah.
Scott, I loved it. I loved the discipline. I loved the homework. That was me, though. That was me. And I agree with what you're saying.
No,
should there be a question moving forward? Maybe, because there are skaters that you can tell they are just
they don't want to be there. There's baseball players that are picking, like, they don't want to do, they're picking dandelions and they just don't want to be there. Like, you know what I mean? There are athletes out there right now in their chosen sport, or you're going to play this and this or whatever, but there's people out there that don't want to be there. Right. And they're there for a ton of different reasons. They want to upset this person or that person. You must, in coaching, see a kid and go, they're just not into it. So would that be the Starlight one, where you're just going to have fun and there's no, and again, that happened to me. Mm-hmm. After I hated hockey after a certain level, simply because it wasn't fun anymore. And it was a business. I seen that real early. And I wanted to play with my buddies. I didn't want to go through this nonsense of this political stuff, right? And, they talk about the kid that missed the bus and all of this stuff. I firmly believe sports is fun. And if you're not having fun, you either got to be in it to go pro or scholarship.
That was going to be my exact next point, Scott. You hit the nail on the head. You do it because you love it. First of all, okay, you have to. But there is a very close second. Second of all, there's another reason, and I remember my reason. My reason, I thought I am going national. I am going to the Olympics. Like, this is it. I am not giving up. That very close second. Of course, I loved it, but that was a very close second reason. And if your heart and soul and passion is not into it, if you do not love it, that's fine. You don't have to do it. You can do it. There's other recreational sports that you can do. Here's the other side of it. There's a ton of time and money and effort put into every sport for every child. So you make it worth it.
But do you think the kids know?
I had no clue.
I do.
You
had no idea how much your parents are spending?
Not a clue.
Really?
Not a clue. It wasn't until I did get into the competitive field that I started to become more aware, only because, Scott, my coaches were much more involved with my personal life.
Yeah.
versus just a figure skating life. It started to become about, all right, you need to make sure that you are doing dryland training or some sort of strength training, 2 or 3
But that goes
days a
back to
week.
the question I asked originally: is when did you find out that you were good, and like when did it click for you to go, holy shit, I'm pretty good at this? Like that must have been pretty close together around the same time. They're investing more time in you personally, to the time that you realized that I'm going to go places, or I could do this.
Yeah, I personally don't think any athlete, any figure skater really thinks about that. Oh, hey, I'm really good. Like I could do.
You don't
something.
think so, eh?
I mean, like I never did. I personally didn't. In fact, I was like my confidence level was like very.
You
very
weren't
low.
winning tournaments, or you weren't.
I won a few competitions,
but more than the other
absolutely.
girls that you were in class with.
I wouldn't say that.
No?
No.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
But I
Yeah.
mean, like I think we all did well to our level, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
When you get out of the province, it's a whole new ball game.
Oh yeah. But how were you doing there? How were you comparing with other kids in the country?
Oh, when I competed in competitive ice dance.
Yeah.
We, we were doing very well. We were top 3 in the province. And
There you go.
it
So
was, we went and competed nationally in Toronto, and that was a ton of fun. And
but that
here's the
didn't
thing.
get you in the head going, wow, I'm actually doing really good here. Like I can go places here.
I wanted
Yeah.
to
Yep.
do better. That was the thing. So there's, I think, a difference between someone who's like, yeah, I'm pretty good. Like I'll just keep going. And someone who's like, I don't think I'm that good, but I want to be that good.
Striving.
And they 100%.
Yeah.
There's a huge psychological component to this. And then there's the other component of the coach really taking control and saying, hey, I'm going to make you a star. Or they will say that to the parents, I'm going to make your kid a star. Like
Okay.
they are going to go places.
You mentioned that a parent has the decision and choice of who coaches their child. Do we have any coaches in Canada here that can coach the Chans, the this, or are they Canadian coaches? Are
Yeah.
they?
Oh,
are
yeah,
they
they
really?
are. Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
There's
some really amazing coaches in Canada.
that have gone on to win. Their skaters have won.
Yes. Yes.
Can you name one? I know I can't, but
personally can't name any figure skating coach.
But they're Canadian for sure.
They're Canadian. Oh, 100%.
because the reason I ask this is because we different like in rugby, you almost have to have an accent to coach rugby in this town. Like if you're not South African and you're not whatever, you can't coach our men's national team, our women's team for some reason.
Yeah.
Like we don't have enough good Canadian coaches here. We do. But for whatever reason.
Some of the best figure skating coaches in the world are Canadian.
Really?
Absolutely. There's actually a lot of figure skaters that will come from the States to train in Canada.
That's what I like hearing. Are you going to be one of them, coach? Now, do you have the same?
So.
Do you have the same passion for your skating as you do your coaching?
100%.
More?
In all honesty, yeah, I was just going to say if not more. Probably because I lived it and I breathed it, and it's just, I never thought I would get to where I am today, to be honest with you, Scott. I never thought.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I never thought I would be coaching, to be honest.
What do you think you were going to be doing?
I never had that in my course of moving on or growing up. I don't know why. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm a competitive figure skater. I did my time. Super fun. I'm done. Moving on.
Okay. So you, what level did you get to as far as skating in Victoria here? What level did you get to as far as, could you have been an Olympian? Could you have done, like, where were you now?
No, short answer.
Okay, but you did go for Disney, though, on ice.
So with that said, Scott, yes. However, I didn't want to. I didn't.
Oh, you should have filled out that form. You should have filled out that form, yes or no.
So how that worked, unfortunately, my pairs ice dancing, that competitive career ended for me really abruptly. And that was only because, unfortunately, my partner at the time, he wanted more out of our relationship than just a professional figure skating relationship.
Oh, so hang on. You were more in a pair skating than a single skater?
I did both.
But you obviously excelled one over the other?
I would be honest and say that my singles career was pretty successful, and then the transition to pairs became more successful only because there were not as many to compete against, in all honesty.
Really?
The female singles competition pool is insane. It is incredibly big, and you have to be very talented. And it keeps getting better and better and better.
So who was the main people when you were doing singles? Who was the star of the world? It's not the Kerrigans, and they're much older, right?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know, right? Yeah, but so who was it then? Because I remember, like my mother and sister love figure. And when I say love, it is one of they could just sit there and watch hours and hours. They're transfixed on the TV, and I remember watching. And it is, once you're into it, it's weird. It's like Coronation Street. Once you watch one episode, you're like, fuck. Katarina Witt, right? Do you remember her?
I don't think so.
Katarina Witt? Oh, wow.
Unfortunately.
German. Just an insane figure skater. But those singles or whatever, I don't ever see them pairing dancing. Like, Kerrigan never paired.
No.
So do you eventually have to just pick one?
I eventually, yes, had to pick one.
Oh.
But I will say it was a fairly easy transition only because, unfortunately, there was a point that I knew my singles career probably wasn't going anywhere.
Why is that?
The pool that I mentioned, that it was just too big, it's too good, it's too talented.
So do you remember who was at the top of that when when you considered making the move from singles to pair? Do you remember in the world of figure skating and pick a country anybody that was like
when I was growing up in Canada, you know?
No, in the world. Like, who was the top figure skater in the entire world?
Oh, gosh.
Back then.
There were a lot of Japanese figure skaters back then that were pretty powerful. Joannie Rochette was pretty powerful in Canada, and she did very, very well even throughout the world.
Right.
She was in my sort of era as I was growing up.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, Joannie Rochette. Like, she was the big one for Canada. But like I said, I think when I was growing up, too, a lot of the Japanese skaters were pretty talented.
They're always in there, the hunt, eh? Yeah.
France was very talented.
Russia's
always
God, do they
been,
just pop them out, don't they?
Well, and it's interesting because when I say, the era of Joannie Rochette, who was pretty darn amazing, you didn't see a lot of Russian skaters up against her. Like that there wasn't a lot of, they were up and coming, but they weren't these powerhouses that they are today.
Right.
At all, nor were they as young.
Huh. I played soccer at a pretty high level, and I was going to be the next big, believe it or not, don't look at me today, but why are you laughing?
Smiling. Smiling.
I was just a really good soccer player, and I was coming out of Ontario as, really honestly, and I remember a game one time where I was just so used to being the best on the field, best on the team, captain, school, this, that, the other. And I remember playing a game one time against a Portuguese club out of Toronto, and I'm like, oh boy, this isn't easy anymore. I'm just not going to get by, and I'm a lazy bastard. I'm not going to get by on this talent alone. Like, these kids on this other team are really, really good. And I had a choice then. You can either bear down and go, or you can just say, oh, I'm afraid of that. I don't have, that's going to take a ton of effort. So when you transition from singles to pairs, and then pairs didn't work out because he wanted more, was your first thought not Disney on Ice?
No.
Your first thought was to go back to singles?
I thought about it, Scott, but like I said, I knew deep down because of my age as well at that point in time. I was aging out to be.
How old were you?
I was 18. I was 18 or 19.
Wow, aging out at 18.
Yeah, for figure skating.
NHLers are just getting drafted at 18.
Yeah.
Oh, is that why 15-year-olds are like, what is this Russian girl going to age out at? Is she 17? She's in beer league?
And that's the thing. There's no age cap. Like you can compete, as young or as old as you want to. I think the oldest figure skater competing at the previous Olympics, I think they were 32 actually.
What?
That's still,
really?
Still young. You're still young.
No, I know. 30s. Yeah.
But that's the thing here, Scott. You've got 15-year-olds competing against 32-year-olds.
Is that good or bad?
You tell me. What do you think?
I think experience is one thing. I think youth is another. And I honestly believe that 30-something years old in any professional sport is old. That's what I believe.
And that's my point. Exactly. So at age 18, 19, I'm aging out.
Wow.
You're aging out.
So before we move on to Disney on Ice and stuff, because I'm intrigued with that, and I do have a few friends that went to it as well. What do you think kids need to know? What do you think parents need to know from start, middle to finish? What are they informed enough? Is there some things that you get repetitively over? Like, I got to answer this question again this year, because they think a bit differently than actual reality. Is there a couple things that you could help a child who's like maybe in that process of going from Streamline or a Starline or whatever to like from a 6-year-old to an 8-year-old? Is there some things that you might be able to share on the podcast that would to clarify some stuff?
I think it's helpful, Scott, going in for the parents to really understand, like, they're doing this because, first of all, they love it. Bottom line, their child is obviously infatuated with the sport and they love it. And that is the most important thing, okay? The coach's job is to make sure they continue to love it and have fun and progress at the same time. The progression comes to a point where the coach might start to say, okay, you're progressing like quite quickly, quite well, in fact. That's the coach's responsibility to have a discussion with the skaters' parents and inform them of how their child is doing. Hey, your child's doing really well and they're doing really well really fast. What do you think of this option for them? And that might mean more private lessons. That might mean moving them up a level.
But why is it more obvious? And again, I'm asking because I relate to other things. If your kid can't take a slap shot, can't skate backwards, can't do this at this age, guess what? He ain't making junior B or making midget. So if a kid at a certain age, at 12, if 15 is the bar for this,
yeah.
and at 10 years old you're not doing a triple axel, maybe it's time to go to ringette.
100%. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but no, are you kidding? Because I don't, like, isn't the coach at this, there's routines that are going to win competitions, right? So there is a certain criteria that must be met. You must be able to do 2 double axles, a triple axel, land it. You must be able to, these are the things in your bag. Like if golf analogy. If you don't have those clubs in your bag, sorry. No?
Yes, absolutely. There is that discussion that also needs to be had too in reality with the coaches to parents of like, hey, you know what? I know that.
But a parent would know that.
They don't know that.
Okay, so that's my question.
They don't know that. Okay. Yeah.
And you have to point that out.
They don't know that, unfortunately. All they see is, one child might be getting a lesson more than their child, and then the politics happen. And
that I could see.
It's brutal, actually.
That I could see.
I had some pretty horrible stuff happen to me.
Yeah. Really? When you were skating or when coaching?
Yeah, just locally at my club when I was figure skating, like as a skater. Like, oh boy, it was parents and skaters. Like, it's none of us were going to the Olympics either. This is the whole thing too. So none of us were gonna make it. We weren't going to the big leagues. Okay.
Yeah.
But these parents fought like we were.
Oh, yeah.
Like their child's career depended on if I was on the ice or not. Like, it was brutal. Wow. Absolutely brutal. And we were all friends. We were all friends.
See, that's
but then
not
you
healthy.
have the parents. They're not really always friendly.
No. It's yeah, you know, I mean, this is a whole new podcast. It's not, unfortunately, this is, I'll tell you, there was a commercial, Canadian Tire had a commercial years ago. It was, parents, get more involved, ask questions, blah, 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 blah. Worst commercial they could have ever put on TV because it's now, ask questions, da-da-da. That's great, honestly, but let the coaches coach. Just drop your kid 100%. Off and go to Mayfair Mall, 100%. Please. Well, that's actually, honestly, just let me coach.
That brings up another great point. I think you're right. However, there's another side to that. As coaches, I think it is sometimes inappropriate for the parent to just drop them and go like a daycare service.
Yeah, if that's the intent.
Exactly.
If they have something to do every Saturday from 1 to 3 and she can't skate, but she's dropping them off anyway, sure. But like, there has to be some form of, this is what drives me nuts. And it's, you trust the process. You see it in baseball, girls baseball all the time, where our guys, you know, dads want their kid in his hockey team or whatever. And if he doesn't like what the coach or the playing time, or she doesn't like it, whatever, I'm just going to pack up stakes and go. And I'm going to find a coach who
it happens in figure skating.
I mean, what happens in all sports, but what I'm saying is you don't trust the process. So, yes, I see what you mean about dropping them off and doing this and whatever. If the intent is just to get 2 hours of free time for yourself, right? I get, you know, that is obvious.
But that's kind of the sad reality, Scott, is that does happen.
Yeah.
That does happen.
Oh, nothing surprises me anymore. What happens?
It's like,
nothing.
Oh, shoot.
Nothing.
Know? Yeah, exactly. And
I just down the road at that Burger King, I was in there. They wanted to do some advertising, and this is years ago. They wanted to do some advertising on ISN, and I went in to see them. And I said, well, what is it that you want to, you know, well, what we want to get across is that we don't want our little playground area or the kids thing inside the restaurant used as a daycare. I go, what are you talking about? They said, well, the parents will go to the casino, drop the kid off at the Burger King.
No way.
I'm not even joking. I'm not joking. And they would go back and gamble and pick the kid up a couple hours later. And meanwhile, he's just like unlimited Coke for this and that. He's just to jam it out. But that's what they would do. So am I shocked? No. Not in the slightest. But that's the shit that goes on.
It is, yeah.
And now that's less than 3%. That's 1%.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? That's rare.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah. So I want to move forward now with who doesn't like Disney? Who's your favorite character in Disney?
Oh, gosh.
Come on. You only have one. You know you only have one. You could have 10, but you really have one.
So pre-Disney on Ice, Tinkerbell. She was.
You like Tinkerbell?
Oh, I still love her.
I know you do. That's what I'm saying. You're a grown woman now, and you still love Tinkerbell. Is it because the costume isn't like a teddy bear, or like you got to skate in that heavy?
Oh, I skated in Minnie Mouse.
Yeah. But Tinkerbell just wore a tutu.
Tinkerbell, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Tinkerbell
easy peasy. Got to fly around. Yeah. Pre Disney on Ice.
Okay.
If I never skated for Disney, I'd be like, yeah, Tinkerbell. She's my girl.
For sure. Yeah, she's Tinkerbell. Yeah.
Now.
Does she have a first name?
No.
Just Tinkerbell?
Tink,
I think. Yeah.
Tink,
I think. Okay. So Tinkerbell. So that's pre.
That's pre-Disney.
Now you're in Disney.
Post-Disney.
Not post, during Disney. Present Disney.
Snow White.
Oh, everybody wants to be Snow White.
And I was not thinking like, I don't like Snow White's not my.
Did you play Snow White?
I portrayed the role of Snow White. I wasn't the real Snow White, but I portrayed the role, Scott.
Well, you could have fooled me. Could have fooled me. Could have fooled me, Chantel. Who were the dwarfs?
So we didn't have dwarfs on
Can you
our
name
show.
all 7?
I think I can name all 7. I should be.
How many can you name?
7. We got Sleepy, Dopey, Grumpy, Happy, Sneezy, Doc, and Bashful.
I can't name all 7. I can't name all 7. Well,
If any
done.
of my Disney friends
Isn't that wild? Are you not happy
embarrassing.
that you just got to experience that live on TV? Are you not happy that you can go home now and think, I just named all the dwarfs like that? No problem.
Pretty good at
That's pretty
Disney.
good. That's pretty good. But on a more serious note, your time, how old were you when you decided, is that like pros now? That you're part of a union or a club or do you have to pay dues or something? Or I don't know. How does that, an agent?
You have to audition.
So this is big league.
You have to audition. Now, my situation, as I previously mentioned, I never planned to go skate for Disney on Ice. I was never...
That wasn't an option.
That was not on my radar. The only reason why, and I'm so grateful now, I'm so grateful to this day that it did happen, but the only reason why, unfortunately, as I mentioned, my partnership with my ice dance partner failed for personal reasons. He wasn't able to skate with me because he wanted more.
He wanted a
wanted
relationship.
a real relationship.
Yeah.
I did not. I wanted to keep skating.
Yeah, of course.
But I did not want to have a relationship with him. And so...
But that's not rare. Like there's Moyer, isn't she married to...
It happens.
They're married. Like full on. Like that is aren't there figure skate?
There's
Virtue?
There are couples out there that skate together that are married, that are dating, and it works. I knew deep down
Wasn't
it
for
was
you.
not for me. It was not
you
going
didn't
to
want
work.
that's fair.
I just wanted to skate.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do.
So you auditioned with Figure or Disney on it. Where's the auditions?
So you have to, it's like a job application. So you have to fill out an application. You have to create an audition video. And there are certain requirements. This was when...
Did your brother film it for you?
No, he didn't. My dad did.
That's where you got it from then.
He wasn't quite into the filming yet, I don't think. I think he was just getting into it.
Okay.
He was just getting into it then. He didn't film
All
it,
right,
though.
so you went and got some ice.
Yep, I went and got some ice. And
Did you dress up? Were you a character?
No.
Just in your dance
You just
thing?
gotta, put on some presentable clothing.
Yep.
Tidy hair, look good, perform your best elements. And elements are things such as spins, jumps, and an artistic movement. So you basically perform everything you have in your toolbox that you can show off. You do everything that you possibly can. Say, hey, this is what I have to offer.
How many takes did it take you?
I think we just did like one.
Look at you.
Popped off.
Naming all 7 dwarfs in one take for Disney. Good for you. Show off.
And so after you submit your application and your video, that gets sent somewhere in the United States. I think it's Florida.
Florida's got to be, right? California or Florida.
Yeah, you got to send that off. And then typically what happens is it's hard to get in.
No kidding.
And it would usually take a couple weeks, if not months, to even hear anything back regarding like, okay, we've seen your audition. Now we would like you to come in for an in-person audition. And that's typically the next step.
Well, because I'm going back to because you said you chose Disney on Ice because the singles you were aging out. So because of the talent pool was that big in the singles, how many singles people across the United States go, I'm not going to make it either. I'm going to go to Disney on Ice. So now you're competing,
so
even though you didn't want to compete with them, you're competing now for this gig.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No?
Well, and I mean, like I said, Scott, when I submitted everything, I did it like, fine. I'll do this.
You weren't expecting to hear back?
Not at all. My parents were so encouraging and supportive, and it was a time where I was really still devastated. I was grieving from the breakup of my partnership.
Oh, still?
I was, it was really tough for me because I didn't know what to do. Skating was my life.
Are you friends now?
My life. No.
Really?
Yeah.
That long?
I mean, we would be very friendly. If we saw each other, we would be super friendly and polite. We have no bad blood at this point.
Oh, okay.
But we do not stay in contact.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Well, he had it bad for you.
I think so.
Oh, that's right. Oh, girl. Okay, so Disney on Ice, the letter comes in. So that's like, I'm going to Harvard. That's like, I got accepted into Harvard, no? The equivalent?
I was surprised. Let's just say that because, again, I wasn't fully invested in it in the first place.
Oh.
And when I sent it off, I did not expect to hear anything at all. But I heard back 2 weeks later. And
2 weeks?
It was 2 weeks later I heard back.
You must have nailed that.
They actually immediately offered me a role right off the bat. They said, we would like you to come to Florida in 6 weeks and perform on our new show. I didn't have to go through the in-person auditions, which was...
What?
I couldn't. So I was leaving in 6 weeks up at this point. So my partner dumps me. 2 weeks later, I apply for Disney on Ice and I get a job and I left in 6 weeks. And I was 19 years old and it was just like boom, boom, boom.
So you didn't like, did that reinvigorate your passion? Like now you want this now more than ever? Like I'll show them, or now you got to perform?
My parents were, and they still are, they were so supportive.
Yeah.
I was 19, Scott.
Yeah.
But I was a very young 19, okay? So when I was growing up, figure skating was my life. I really had no other interest. And I cannot say that I was like a 19-year-old experiencing life. I didn't drink. I didn't party. And I had to have a lot of convincing to say, just go do this. Go give it a try. Go give it a shot.
Because you thought you were going to be homesick?
I didn't really think of that. I did get homesick.
I'm sure you did. But like, so you still had trepidations now that I got it? So sometimes I don't know if the chase is better than the actual getting it.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
I think it happened so fast for me, Scott, that it was like a bit of a blur, the transition. And before I knew it, I was in Florida during rehearsals, and
all right, so
it's crazy.
The application 2 weeks later could take months. You got it done in 2 weeks. On a plane 6 weeks later, you land in Florida by yourself with your duffel bag and your suitcase.
Yep.
And do they put you in a hotel? Do you live on campus? Is there a room, dorms?
So you live out of hotels.
Oh, Jesus.
That's where you live. You live in hotels.
So you probably never even been in a hotel by yourself at that age.
I think I had, and that would have been because I competed elsewhere.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But I was obviously like with my skating buddy.
Yeah, you had coaches and everything around.
But I'd never been like fully on my own out of the country before. And so they just stuck you with someone like a brand new roommate. You're going to basically live with them for the rest of the year. And
so 2-door room in a Howard Johnson.
We got there were some hotels, if not in most cases, we got some beautiful rooms.
Come on.
Yeah, it was
and
really
paid.
Nice. Yeah. So there.
What were you making?
So there were portions of our paychecks that we had to put towards the hotel fees. It wasn't big though; it was quite minimal. So we did have to pay for it in some sense, but for the most part, I mean, like we traveled for free and got to sightsee, and
they feed you.
So on specific show days, we had to perform 3 shows in one day, which happened often. They would provide us with meals.
The same show.
Yeah.
The same choreography, the same everything.
Yeah, 3. We would do 3 a day. Sometimes I think there was a few times we actually did 4. That was very rare though.
Huh.
Yeah.
So was this your first job?
This would have technically been, my first. I did have a couple little...
So most people that deliver papers or go to McDonald's. No, you go to Florida and play Tinkerbell.
I had a couple little jobs, I think, while I was skating, very part-time. I think I worked at Old Navy for a little bit.
Just for the discount.
Just for the clothing.
Just for the coupons. So when you got to Florida, you got the letter in Victoria. 6 weeks later, you're on the plane. You're now hired. When's the first show and where?
So we had to do about a month of rehearsals in Florida because this was a brand new show. Now, sometimes you get hired onto a show that's already been choreographed. This show, however, was brand new. So the choreography had to be done from start to finish for the entire duration of a 2-hour show. So I lived in one hotel room for the first month, I think, in Florida. And we were at one venue performing. And that was like a Monday to Friday, and then you got weekends off. Sometimes you worked 7 days a week. But I mean, you got paid for it. You got paid for your rehearsal time. You got paid for your show time. You got paid for PR time. So anytime that you went to go do any shows on, like, we did Good Morning America. I was on Live with Kelly. And
You were?
yeah.
And now you're here.
Now we're here.
So this must
Now
be
I'm with Scott.
this must be the pinnacle of your career. This is full circle. You are on Raw Podcast, no? Like, of all the shows you've done, this has got to be the best one.
It's the funnest one.
the funnest
so
one for
far. Honestly. I don't have to wear a wig or crazy makeup. So that's awesome.
No. Hey, listen, there's a close-up of me right here. Makeup ain't fixing this right there. That's definitely... So we don't do the makeup here. I make every guest look better just because of my physique.
Oh, Scott.
So Florida, cool. You're with a roommate. Where was she from?
She was from Germany.
Okay.
Yep.
So cool. Was she cool?
I loved her.
Yeah.
We became really good friends.
Do you still do you contact with her?
Unfortunately, I don't stay a lot in touch with her. I stay in touch with a few other people. In fact, I was just speaking with one of my friends the other day. And yeah, I mean, we keep tabs on each other, I think, secretly.
That's so cool. My other two friends do too. Like they have friends they were in the show with that they still, and they're scattered all over North America.
Oh yeah, so
and,
are we.
You know, and whenever they get to, whenever there's a bond, right? But my other two friends have some stories that aren't like they were too young. Like there was no really chaperones or there wasn't really. It was just like into the wolves, and it's you go from doing shows in Victoria to I'm an adult.
Yes.
I can drink till whatever.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And mom and dad aren't going to say go to bed. It's 2:00. Right. So there must be a learning curve. Like, what would you tell these girls that who's peaked out or whatever, aged out? I hate that word, aged out.
I don't like that either.
Oh,
I think
man,
it was the best way to describe. In all reality, though,
I wouldn't have used it, but you brought it up.
Just
I hate that aged out. Like that's just I know it's something about it. Or Survivor. I hate that's another word.
It's a tricky. That one's like tricky. It was the best way I think I could
I get it.
Though,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it is the reality of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably why I don't like it because it's cringy.
Yeah.
It's but where was I going with this?
You were talking about
Kelly and Kathy Lee would know. Where am I going with this?
Being an adult.
Yeah, but so what would you tell the young girls like today? Because we're going to wrap this up soon. Well, I could talk to you for hours on this, by the way.
Oh, there's a lot we could talk about.
Oh, I know. Well, we'll have to have you back. But what would you tell the young, like as a coach now that you've experienced these things, what would you caution them? Like, to say, when you have options, when your competitive career, you can still go have fun. You can do that. Like figure skating can open. You could see the world.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that's all good stuff. Like, did you go to Japan? Did you go here? Like, you must have seen. Like figure skating gave you the opportunity to see things that you would never see, or you'd 100%. Have to pay for.
100%, Scott.
Right?
And if anyone does have the opportunity to skate with Disney on Ice, I would encourage you to please take it. Reason being is because, yes, this is something like not a lot of people get the opportunity to do. And it is a very fun, incredible experience.
That's probably why you can do 3 shows a day because it's so much fun.
It's a lot of work too.
Oh,
I mean, there are obviously lots of days where, a lot of the cast and crew was like, we do not want to do this show. Yeah. I am tired.
Well, we're still going out tonight.
Exactly, where you can get into that. Or they are going to tell you like, hey, just a couple more hours and then we're going to go over to the bar. Yeah. Or you may get the other end of it and some people are just hungover, and that's why they don't want to be there. And that's the other side of it, unfortunately. Yeah.
Right.
You don't really expect that going into this, especially, being so young for me. And I was 19 in the States, and, I'm this goody two-shoes. I'm like, oh, I'm 19. Yeah. Like, I'm not even legal here. I can't drink.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And,
but you did.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I get it.
But
who wouldn't?
Well, and the thing in what you bring up, there's no chaperones. There's nobody's looking after you. So
really,
yeah, the word of caution is, just.
Well, you're an adult now. This is your job.
Make sure you understand that this is fully your responsibility. This is a full-time job. This is up to you.
So did you relate this to your parents when you got homesick? Like, Mom, Dad, there's nobody, or you just kept all that hush-hush?
A lot of it. I think I.
Well, they won't be listening to this show anyways. They're not Raw fans, are they? They're going to be. They should be.
I have a feeling they'll.
Yeah,
they'll
I'm
listen.
sure they will.
Oh, they'll
but
listen.
Was it something that you were like, I got to tone this back? I could see this getting out of hand.
Yes, there were. Unfortunately, Scott, there were moments and times things did get out of hand.
Oh, okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And reason being, like I said, nobody is there to hold your hand.
No.
It's not like this is what you have to do here, this is what you have to do there. It's basically just show up for the show and do your job, and then you can do whatever you want.
Would it be fair to say you left a girl and came home a woman?
To some extent.
Okay.
I think I came home still.
You had to grow up quick there.
I had to grow up quick in a lot of different ways, Scott. And
that you wouldn't have had to do here.
No, 100%.
So it helped.
And I think it did help. I think
it
it was a really good experience for me to learn a lot of, I'm like, I have to do taxes? What?
Yeah.
And I had to do them in the States. And like, how do I do this? I had to get a phone plan.
No.
Like,
yeah, right.
What? So like those little things that are like your everyday, like, okay, you got to learn how to do this.
Well, you got to figure out your own product. Like, you
really
don't like,
good.
yeah.
That was great. There were other, I would say, street smart skills that, to be honest with you, I am glad that I experienced and I learned, but
eye-opening,
there were some
isn't it?
scary moments. There were some really fun moments,
Yeah.
but there were some also like questionable moments.
Do you think
on ice.
Do you think you did it to get out of to run away from the problem of your partner, your ex, or whatever he was?
Believe initially that was the thought I had in my head, thinking this was a means to an end. Thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to do next.
When I go back,
because I couldn't give up figure skating that easily. So
was it an upgrade or down? Like, did you think of it as that you're going backwards,
yeah,
taking Disney? Really?
I did. The reason why I initially didn't want to do it was because I thought, no, this is beneath me. I don't want it. I am better. I know it sounds so horrible,
no. This is good to know, right?
It's the truth. That's where my mind.
Yeah. It's not the so you had the bar up here,
I had the
and
bar
Disney
so
was
high.
down here.
Yeah, I had the bar so high, and in all reality, like I said, I am gonna be honest, I was very wrong. It is
no kidding.
Such an incredible experience.
Yeah, you must have had a blast.
However, there's a lot that I think is not shared with that side of life. And
whose responsibility is that?
It's your responsibility. It's
mine.
It's my responsibility.
If you're in that industry, whose responsibility? To tell people.
That is a great question. You know what, Scott? I do believe that you have to experience it. Unfortunately, every experience.
I couldn't agree more. You know what? You can raise these baby birds. You can do whatever, and then sometimes you just got to go flick, get out of the nest, beat
sometimes you do have to truly embrace it, and
100%.
It's a learning curve, right? Absolutely. I learned a lot really quickly.
Yeah, and it's made you who you are.
Oh, I'm so glad that I did it. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Chanel, we're going to have to wrap this up, but before we leave, I want to just get your final thoughts on, because you still have passion, by the way. I interview a lot of people, and you could still see that gleam in your eye where it's like, I love it. Which is awesome. Yeah, well, whatever, right? So, but the now that you've transitioned into coaching, we never really got to talk about your health and because the athletes have changed, and maybe we'll have to have you on again to talk about the nutrition fact of it and stuff like that, and go down that little road. But what, just in closing, what is it? What is the biggest message you would like to share to parents and skaters, parents of skaters?
Figure skaters specifically. Well, let's just say in any sport, you do it because you love it. But there is a trial and error period. So I think the biggest thing I would like to share is try everything. I think I did ballet for a little bit, and then I tried figure skating, and that was it. And that was my baby. But
multi-sports.
Try everything. Try absolutely everything. And the reason why I say that, because I want to share that even though I was a competitive figure skater, I did a lot of other things that really helped my skating career, such as I really enjoyed CrossFit. I really enjoyed other sports like volleyball, track and field. Yoga. Yeah. I would really highly encourage, and I think parents are so good about that nowadays, is getting their kids involved in every and anything. But just having that variety in life is something I would like to share, because just as being a coach, I only know so much, right? So if the kid is learning something else from another coach on another sport and another team that would hopefully play into my sport that I'm going to coach them in,
they all interact.
It's going to be yeah, absolutely. Like they're
kids,
just going to have
all kids should play multi-sports.
Absolutely.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm trying to draw out of you is to I wish more people would trust the coaches, and that's the biggest thing that I see over with what I do with ISN and stuff like that, where it's just like, my kid's not getting playing time, my kid's not doing, you know what, just let the coach coach. Let's let the coach coach. Yeah. Trust the process.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think it would be any different in figure skating, and it may even be more. I don't know.
No, I agree with you, Scott. I think that's a great message to get across as well. And I do have to say, I've never been a parent. Okay. Yeah. So I have no idea what that feels like, letting their trust into someone else for their child. Like, I understand there might be a little bit of hesitation with that, but I think you're also right in that, you know what, like,
that's quickly evaporated, though, if you're getting something out of it.
Yeah, like, we're the professionals in our sport. We know exactly
and you experienced
what we're going to do. I experienced it. It's good for the parents to understand that, too, that, you know, we didn't just come off the street. No. Like, we know what we're doing. Like, I did it for almost 18 years of my life.
That's what I mean. Exactly. And I don't want to have to give my resume to every parent. Like, just trust that I've experienced this. And it may not look right now, or it may not make sense, but this is why, because I don't want Sally or Bobby to go through that, because, you know, this happens. But anyway, do you think that's fair?
I think that's absolutely fair, and just letting them know that coaches love what they do. Well, I should hope they do. Well, I love what I do, so they're...
And that's Juan de Fuca Skating Club. Are you taking new kids now? Can little girls, little boys come in?
Kids can join Juan de Fuca anytime. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that registration coming up for their spring season is starting.
Okay.
That actually starts on April 4th.
And how much is it? What are we looking at for money-wise for figure skating for a session?
Well, there's different packages. So you have to go on to the Juan de Fuca website.
Yeah, all righty. Not biting, are we? Okay. Well, that'll be $150 for doing this show, please. Chanel Begin, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for sharing. I learned a ton on figure skating today that I did not know.
Thank you so much for having me, Scott.
And I hope nothing but the best, and we get another little Elizabeth Manley or out of Juan de Fuca. Have we ever had a figure skater from the island go to big things like the Olympics or anything like that? Has there ever been?
We've had some very talented skaters on the island. I personally can't name one. I do, however, know on the mainland from Vancouver, we've had a few male figure skaters compete on
he not? Or
the national circuit. Yeah,
absolutely, for sure. Okay. Well, folks, figure skating. Try it. I guess that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed with my guest today, Chanel Begin, and talking figure skating. And we'll see you on the next one. Good night.